The Scott Ryfun Radio Show.
Sorry, had to do it. What's going on? How are you? Good to have you here. Welcome to our little broadcast that we're doing every morning. What is the latest? Well, who do we have? We have 28 people here. And we've been building up. Yesterday, we had our biggest single audience at a time yet. I'm eating. Mrs. Ryfun literally stepped in the door as the countdown was going on and said, here. And they handed me a piece of peanut butter toast. I think she's doing that because I didn't eat till like noon yesterday. So I will tell you one thing. She looks out for people like nobody's business. It's unreal how amazing she is. Anyway, good to have you here. Welcome. Enjoy your day today. Hopefully you will. Got a lot to get into. Already people are saying hi. Good morning. Red 140 staying by. Good morning. Yes, South Georgia 40 is huge, very huge. Green 8 standing by. Congrats on 1,000 subscribers. We did it. We did. Well, not 1,000K because that would be what, 1 million. But we did hit the 1,000 subscriber mark and kind of blew through it yesterday. And where do we stand right now? Let's take a look and see. We were at about 1,020 last evening when I last checked it. Okay, we're still at about 1,020. So not bad at all. And I appreciate it most definitely. Snuck Mrs. Oh, see, that's okay. Brad says good morning. We say good morning back to you. Let's keep that momentum going is what our Jacksonville bureau chief says. And I wholeheartedly agree. Charles Blocker from Jessup the road says good morning. And we say good morning to you as well. Snuck one Mrs. 129's YouTube account. That's okay. We got the numbers. And again, we did hit the 1,000 mark, which is a very good thing. Now, it doesn't mean we got to quit, but the major pressure is off. I mean, I was trying this morning to use the little cheap Chinese remote to change that blue over there because I kind of was trying to go for a lighter color this morning. And I got everything else changed with the remote, but that's a different set of lights. Unfortunately, they're not on the same app. So trying to work that out. Let's see. All right. 161 is part of the South Georgia 1,000. You know who else is part? You know who asked me for a number yesterday? I probably shouldn't say this, but yeah, the latest member of the South Georgia 40 is Sheriff Jump. And yeah, his number, sometimes people request numbers and you go, okay, yeah, you get a number. His number is way up there in the line. So it'll be a while before anybody gets to him because he's way over 1,000. So, but yeah, Sheriff Jump joined the South Georgia 40 yesterday morning. Let's see. Won't be long until 100,000. Let's see. Let's hope. Fingers crossed. Let's see if we can do it. Oh, she is. Oh man. Very, very, very special lady. I am definitely blessed. No doubt about it. Toast and peanuts are vegetables. No, that's incorrect. And it's not peanuts. It's peanut butter. It's smooth. I won't do chunky. 147 says, good morning. We appreciate that. Henry Ball in the house. Henry Ball. We got to 1,000 yesterday. Henry Ball. I mean, a lot of people were major players in that happening, but Henry Ball may have been the biggest player. I mean, if you did individual, excuse me, I got a little butter on my fingers. You did like individual contributions. Henry Ball may have been the biggest contributor. Henry Ball has a new podcast, by the way. And we'll encourage people to check it out. And the second I can have guests, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put him on. I don't know if he knows that or not, but we're going to. Absolutely. Good morning. Okay. And Pace, she says she loves the new platform. I love this. I love being able to, I love the graphic. I love the presentation. It's a lot better than what we had at the old studios. I'll just say this. Oops on that. That's okay. Hey, that's optimistic. I love that. And Paul, I was wondering where you were this morning. Because as I've said many times before, yeah, we don't get our morning start without Paul giving us a thumbs up. That was even the case when we were just doing Facebook and we're on the radio. Good morning, ma'am. And good morning, sir. And peanuts are protein, not vegetable. Yeah. The only thing is, it kind of applies on peanut, but I'm kind of sick of that. I think I talked about this in the olden days, but I'm kind of sick of the word protein. And well, this stems from like a couple of months ago. We were at a restaurant, and Mrs. Rifen ordered a salad, and then the woman, the waitress said, "And would you like any protein on it? Would you like any protein? What, like hair?" I mean, you know. But so there are a lot of restaurants now that call meat protein because it's like hip and trendy. And I don't know if it's like, I don't know, is there some like philosophical thing where meat is a bad word to say or something? But you'll go to a lot of check this out. You'll see what I'm talking about. You'll even see it on the menu. You'll say, they'll like make your own dish. Have this, add one protein. And it's like, oh, come on, guys. Don't do that. Don't just call it meat. It's okay to call it meat. Meat is meat. Now, protein, obviously peanuts aren't meat, but you know what I'm saying. 220. Oh, I didn't know that. Of course, I was never a watcher of 227. I don't know why. It was just not a thing. Henry Ball ready to come on the program. Good. I'm very glad. Very glad. Evelyn says she needs a number. She's been around here forever. She's been with us forever. That she does not have a number kind of shocks me. I'll tell you the truth. So let me do the thing. I did say that we are going to give like 3 numbers away a day, just to keep it from taking over the program. And then once we do the 3, that'll be it. That will be it. But Evelyn's going to get our first one today because, again, she deserves. She's been with us for a long, long time. I can't make Excel come up right though this morning. That's part of the problem. We got stuff to talk about this morning too. There we go. So Evelyn is going to be 167. Write it down. And of course, that old Brassfield name means a lot to radio locally. So I even like the fact that that's going on. She's got a number. Oh, stop it, you and Miss Technical. Did you have a half acre of peanuts planted on Blythe Island? Been planting there for 3. Is that right? Can you do that? I guess you can. Now, see, that's an interesting perspective. That is an interesting perspective. That they're, and I don't know that filters down to. I don't know that filters down to waiters and waitresses, but so your thought is that they're saying protein so they don't actually have to say meat because one day the fake meat will take over everything. They certainly want the fake meat and I guess it would be better to say, would you like any protein on your salad than would you like any bugs on your salad? Because that's, there is still that movement afoot. And by the way, that's not a conspiracy theory. That's a real deal thing that there are segments of, the more elite movers and shakers in society who very much want you to eat bugs. And it's out there. I mean, it's just it's not some guy doing YouTube in his mom's basement doing this. It's like Nicole Kidman. They're feeding her bugs, and she's doing videos on it and that kind of thing. Sometimes the protein is seafood too. Yeah, but is that not also meat? I mean, it's still, even, like salmon, that's meat. Mahi, that's meat. It's expensive meat. It's meat. Shrimp, sea bugs, but still meat, right? In a sense. Yes, we got our subscribers. Thank you very much. The white light is great. I couldn't go fully white today. I don't know what the deal was. The app would not let me do white. I was trying to do white, but it's actually more of a yellow today. And I don't know why. Because in the past, I've done white with this exact set of lights. In fact, that's kind of what inspired me was I was checking out my old lightsaber video. And I said, I like that white light look. And so I thought today I'd try to duplicate it, and I can't duplicate it for some reason. But I'll get it. Don't worry, I'll get it. Things are just evolving and developing right now. So we'll be okay. Thank you very much. This is a great shirt. It's a reproduction of a 1980, is that a 83 or 84? Probably around 83 or 84 shirt. That Lick It Up Animalize era, which I never thought got enough love. And I'm starting to see it get more love, and I'm very happy about that. Very happy about that. At some point, I need to cap the numbers, or they won't be worth it. This is not a supply. Hopefully, you guys aren't reselling your number. If I look on eBay and I see somebody like going, "Oh, I've got a South Georgia 40 number 5 for auction," then I'll cap the numbers. But otherwise, no, I'm not going to do that. Let's see. Good morning, everybody out there, the crew. 149. It's Thursday morning. Hope everybody has their coffee. Brenda, I told you yesterday I was going to try and get you one, so I'm glad you're there. And you certainly, again, of people who have been there with us forever, you are certainly one of those folks. And yes, when we can launch our thing, I'm giving you 168. You have 168, Brenda. And when we launch whatever we're launching here, I'm going to be hitting you up, just so you know. Yeah, I had a couple of good conversations. I had 3 good conversations yesterday, actually. I had some other good conversations, but as far as moving business things forward, had 3 good conversations yesterday. One on the legal side of things, that was good. One on the professional side of things, and one on a different professional side of things, different little angle that I'm going to try and work here. And everything went really well. So again, the beauty of all of this is that there is one giant red heart-shaped obstacle to my moving forward. And hopefully we're making progress towards getting that obstacle out of the way. And then we can launch some stuff. And hopefully you guys will all come along for the ride. I will continue to do YouTube, and I'll continue to put it on Facebook just in this format. And but we'll have radio partners and everything else. So and I say, I have a radio partner lined up. We spoke yesterday, and can't really talk about it yet because, again, it hasn't happened yet. It's not official, but it is lined up. They're ready to go. I'm ready to go. I just got to legally be able to go, and then watch out. But when I do that, we'll continue to StreamYard this thing. We'll continue to put it on YouTube. We'll continue to do that because it's, that's where this is going to evolve. And the other thing is we'll make it available to, we're making it available on the radio, but we're going to make it available to other radio stations, other places as well. I can do that. But the focus is going to be Golden Isles and Coastal Empire, just the way it is. Good morning from North Carolina there, David. Good morning to Ricky. Good morning to number 32. Don't give them any ideas. Right? I don't have to give them ideas. They're doing it. They are doing it. They're working on it. Trust me. Cow is protein. Yes, but. I was looking for you at the fish show at End Market Arena last night. But I remember you don't like fish. Were they there? Or they? Okay. I didn't even know they were there. That's... the funny thing is, like, there are certain things that it just has to, going to a concert these days, it really, like, I don't know, I kind of saw a lot of what I wanted to see. So really these days, if I were to go to something, it would have to be something I really, really, really wanted to see. And I just, I took Mrs. Rifen to see Bryan Adams, I don't know, a couple of years ago. I think that's the last show we've been to. And before that, for me, it was the Yngwie Malmsteen show, which was, man, I had wanted to do that for so long. That was maybe one of the great experiences of all time, because it was still COVID protocols, but people were trying to get out and do things. And he was playing in Clearwater. No, not Clearwater. Yeah, Clearwater. And so we figured we use our Disney points. We stay at Disney. We drive over there. Turns out my wife's aunt, Mrs. Rifen's aunt, lives like, I don't know, a mile away from the venue or something. And so we got tickets, and because it was COVID, they had buffers around all the seats. So you could sit with the people you were there with, but there had to be a 2-seat gap between you and everybody else. And the tickets were like $50 for the show. I mean, in this day and age, it's nothing, right? And we got second row seats, dead center. Couldn't get the front row seats by the time I got in there, but got the second row seats, dead center. And again, we had a buffer, so there was nobody around us. And it really is just like having a show just for you. And I wound up getting like 7 picks that night because he just throwing picks. And Yngwie Malmsteen's a tremendous, it was just a phenomenal night. Really, really neat. Let's see. We didn't fight our way out to the first world to eat bugs and fake meat with so many chemicals it's not even a vegetable anymore. Here. And here to Skip. Good morning to you, sir. The only people that'll be able to get real meat will be the rich and famous. Yeah, it'll be like a thing one day. I hope not. I mean, we got to fight back. So shirts are an important part of show prep. They can be. They certainly can be. Every number should have an action figure. Collect them all. Good luck on that. 160. Yeah, okay, Daniel, you deserve it. And Daniel, I've still got some work for you. So, boom, done. 169. As much as I think of Scott Ryman, I refuse to be called a Ryfundian. Did you get 173? You got something, I thought. I'll look it up. I've already done 3 today, but actually I'm not seeing you on the list. I thought I had you on the list. We'll get you covered. My best moves was taking less severance and buying out my non-compete, paid out massively in the long run. Well, that's kind of where we're heading here, sadly. Troy, good morning. Glad you found us. Glad you're there. You certainly deserve a number, but talk to me tomorrow. I've given out 3 today, and I try not to do more than 3 because I try not to let it get all bogged down with the handing out of numbers and that kind of thing. So let's get started talking about the things we've got to talk about. Yesterday morning, we had this story, and here's something else interesting. I noticed yesterday people kept saying, you should put that thing on the other side. Because I've been trying to make it so that I don't cover myself up with these stories. Because again, this is kind of a learning process. And so I was moving them to the corner. And then I started getting word from people, you're covering yourself up. And I'm like, no. And then Glosson reached out to me yesterday, said, you're covering yourself up. So I went to the video. And what's interesting is what you see on the video is not what I see on the video. Weird as that sounds, we're not seeing the same thing. I'm seeing, I guess, kind of a reversed video, but it's not. So when I was moving the thing over in my monitor, it was right. And then I turned around and I'm getting all these complaints from people. And so I started looking at the video and it's like, no, it doesn't look the same. Yeah, see, right now, it's right up here. Or excuse me, it's right up here because I got to point to the other, but it doesn't, my screen, it doesn't look like that. My screen, it is right here. And and this is my ear. So just so you know. But yeah, I'm looking at the live feed and it doesn't look like that at all. Doesn't look like that at all. So anyway, yeah, this is what we came on the air with yesterday. If you remember when we opened up the program yesterday, that there was a crash at exit 42, that traffic was stopped in a big way, and that it was going to take people a long time to get where they were going. Then we learned there was a fatality involved as well. Well, Taylor Cooper has it for the paper of record. This is not even Taylor Cooper's beat. So I don't know if Michael Hall's on vacation or they just like whoever's near the thing can do it. Well, I don't know, but because Taylor pretty much works the city at this point. Now let's go to Taylor Cooper. 2-car crash in the northbound lanes of I-95 near exit 42 Wednesday resulted in the death of one of the drivers and closed all northbound lanes and one southbound lane for 4.5 hours. That's what we were talking about yesterday. Once we found out it was a fatality, I told you guys yesterday morning, once we found out it was a fatality, it was like, all right, you're not making progress on 95 at exit 42 for a long time, because they're going to bring Skirt and all these guys out. They're going to take pictures. They're going to paint the road. It's going to be, it's going to be a massive investigation. And then we also find out through this story that there are criminal charges on this as well. And that means even more investigation, even more stuff going on. Georgia State Patrol troopers responded to the crash at mile marker 42 at 5:44 a.m. They responded to a Hino box truck driven by Lanier Gonzalez Caraballo, 35, of Jacksonville. He struck a Toyota Matrix parked on the east shoulder of the interstate, killing the driver, who was not identified, Wednesday afternoon, and injuring a passenger. Caraballo failed to maintain his lane of travel and struck the Matrix, the GSP said, after which the truck traveled into the center median, struck the center guardrail, and overturned. So the passenger who died obviously was having some kind of an issue, pulled off into the emergency lane, did the right things, and got whacked. Caraballo sustained minor injuries. The Toyota driver was ejected and died as a result of his injuries. And, again, people will say seatbelts save lives, et cetera, et cetera. But in the reality, this might not have been a seatbelt issue because he was pulled off into the emergency lane. So, yeah, I know. This is awful. The Toyota's driver was ejected. The passenger, Joel Rivera, 21, also of Jacksonville, was transported to the Southeast Georgia Health System's Brunswick Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Caraballo was arrested on the scene, booked into the Glenn County Sheriff's Office. He was booked into the jail, right? He wasn't booked into the sheriff's office. On charges of second-degree vehicular homicide and failure to maintain lane on Wednesday morning, the Glenn County Sheriff's Office said. Posted bond was released later that afternoon. The entire roadway was reopened about 5 hours after the crash occurred, which, again, was something we warned you about once we learned it was a fatality, because the fatality is just, everything stops. And when there are criminal charges tied into the fatality, then it really just, everything goes to a halt. So that's the story of what happened. But yes, you are probably asking the same question that I am asking. What do you think you're? Yeah, I'm asking the same question you're asking. Anyway, James, somebody the other day asked me. They said, "Are we going to be able to take calls on the new show?" And of course, you're going to be able to take calls when the time comes. The reality is, when I was just going to go internet only, I had it set up, or I was getting it set up to take calls. And then I had some radio partners coming on board that will be coming on board. Radio partner that is really enthusiastic about doing this thing. And that's what I need, is people who are enthusiastic about doing this. People who are enthusiastic about spreading the program. People who are enthusiastic about getting things going here. And so I kind of belayed all that because the radio partner's already got a phone system set up. And here's the cool news. I'll have a screener. Now, I'll also say this. The system I was getting has an automated screener, which still intrigues me, which still makes me, this is interesting. But yeah, I'll have a real live, honest to goodness screener. 32 years in the radio business, and I've never had a screener. So there. So James, know that we have had people asking about you. Know that we've had people concerned about you. And know that I am delighted that you are right there. That's what I will tell you. If I forgot my number, to go to the back of the line. Most people know, but you, yes. No, when I talk about having a spreadsheet, there's a spreadsheet. It's right there. And the name of the spreadsheet is South Georgia 40. And, some people have odd numbers. Leah has a 13.2. Ron has a -1. Mark has a 1A. And Sheriff Jump now has 1101. Because that's what he asked for. All right, yeah. I'll do that. But let's see. Yes, you are 164. That is correct. You are absolutely correct. Hey, watch your mouth. Watch it. Kern, glad to have you here. Are you back in the country? It was bad. I saw it heading to Richmond Hill. Yeah, I actually have some photos that somebody sent me that I don't feel comfortable releasing, because it seems exploitative, and that's not what I do. And also because I don't know that I won't get a source in trouble for that. It's kind of dual there, but it's ugly looking. I will tell you that. Yeah, I'm again, somebody obviously is thinking the same thing I'm thinking there. Matt says, good morning. Good to have you here. Tony also thinking the same thing I am thinking as well. As a retired truck driver, pulling off into the emergency lane isn't the best option. Pulling off an exit ramp is much safer. Get as far away from traffic. Yeah, that's true. And you hear about people. I will tell you this. I had a district manager when I worked in music retail. I worked at Camelot in the mall. Camelot was my dream job for a while when I was a teenager because you got to hang around records all day and you got an employee discount. And I just always thought that the squad there was really, they were cool. Like Crawford, that's where I really got to know Crawford Perkins. He worked there he was kind of I didn't know him that well, but he was what kind of got it pushed over the cliff that I got hired, actually. Now that I think about it, because I knew him because I would go to Camelot all the time, and I put in application after application after application after application, and I didn't even get an interview. And a buddy of mine who worked in there called me and he said, "Hey, just so you know," and understand at the time my hair was long, flowing, curly hair. Girls were jealous of my hair because I didn't brush it. I would wash it in the morning and then I would shake it out and it would just poof. And so anyway, it was really, really, really long. And buddy of mine called me and he said, "Hey, the manager just told me that if you cut your hair, that he would probably hire you." And I went, "Oh, really? Okay." And so I went down to, Regis or wherever. No, I didn't. I think I went to the mall barbershop, actually. Went to the mall barbershop and got the haircut. Had the application already in hand because I'd filled out so many of them. And walked in with the short hair for the first time in years. Anybody had seen me with short hair. And Crawford and the manager, a guy named Nick, were up front at the counter. And Crawford saw me first. He looked up and his eyes just bugged out and his jaw dropped. And he just looked over at Nick and he goes, "Oh man, you got to hire him now." So that's how I got that gig. But the I can't remember why I started that story, but it was important. But anyway, pulling off in the emergency lane. Because my district manager. So I had a district manager who one of his claims to fame in life was he'd gotten to go on remember the era of the daytime talk shows when everybody had a daytime talk show? He kind of made the circuit on those things as a guy because he had a car issue. He had pulled off on the side of the interstate somewhere, wherever he lived. And a semi truck hit him and dragged him. Yes, hit him and dragged. And the guy, and I'll be honest with you, the guy was a jerk, a real jerk. But, you still don't wish that on him. And so he actually did a lot of the daytime talk show circuit as a guy who had survived being hit by a semi and dragged from having pulled off into the emergency lane. That's why I was telling the Camelot story. But because at one point he was a district manager, and it was just like, oof. And he would tell that story, and then he would tell the story about going on the different daytime shows and how they pretty much all recycled the same people over and over again, and that was interesting as well. All right, so anyway, yes, I agree with you because I've known of people clearly who get hit there, but sometimes you have no choice. I mean, I remember back in the early wedded bliss days, and when I had my little Mercury Topaz, and the engine just blew, and I had no choice. I'll tell you, here's another weird story about stopping in the middle of the interstate. And I've told this story on the air before, but I don't tell it often, but it's one of just the weirdest experiences I've ever had. So I was doing mornings on one of our FM stations on 103.3 at that point. And because I'd had a lot of success in mornings on 1490 on WMOG. And they said, well, that's okay, but we've maximized our revenue over there. We could make more money having that kind of rating success on 103. So then they took me and put me on 103 and then said, we want you over here because the things you've done on WMOG have been very successful, but we can make more money with you being successful over there. And then they said, don't do anything you did on the other show. That's the one time that I've really done something in radio that did not work at all. And largely because I was told not to do any of the things that I did that were successful in the other place. But I was given that position because I had been successful doing those things in the other place. So you figure it out. But anyway, so I'm driving in one morning on the interstate, and it's one of those pea soup foggy days, and you know what I'm talking about. And at the time we lived at exit 38, and so the station was at exit 29. And I'm driving, and again, it's just one of those pea soup foggy mornings. When you're on the interstate and it's pea soup foggy, you are really hyper vigilant because you know you can't just go 2 miles an hour because it's the interstate. But at the same time, you can't really go at speed because you don't know what's going to just come out of nowhere at you. And as I was at the last overpass before you get to exit 29, something came out of nowhere at me, and it was somebody had flashing emergency lights on their car. The car was sideways in the middle of the lane, on the left lane of this overpass or bridge. I guess it's a bridge because it's not over a road. It was over water. And I slowed down because this is really odd. And again, I didn't have a cell phone or anything, but so I slowed down, and there was a guy out there, and the guy's like, "Hey, can you help me move my car?" He's like, "I kind of lost control and I hit the barrier here on the bridge." And I said, "Look, I will help you, but you are going to get killed." Because again, there was no visibility. And he's on foot on the thing. So I said, I pulled into the emergency lane, but I didn't pull into the emergency lane right parallel to where he was, because I knew that somebody coming would try to, they'd see him at the last instant. They would try to avoid him. And what would they do? They would swerve, and they would wind up going towards, and if I parked parallel to where he was or anywhere close to that, then I would get creamed by somebody trying to miss this guy, because he literally was nose into the barrier on the side of the bridge, on the left side of the bridge. So I pulled all the way down to the bottom of the bridge and stayed in the emergency lane and put my flashers on. And then I walked back up. As I'm pulling, that's right, I didn't walk back up yet. As I'm pulling down, I look up in my rearview mirror and I see an 18-wheeler in the rearview mirror bearing down on that car. And it just crunched into that car. And I literally said out loud, somebody just got killed. Because I thought about that guy who was on the bridge, and I said, there's no way. There is no way that guy survived, because he was out there trying to move his car. And I got out of the car and I ran back up the thing, and the guy was there. The guy was like, yeah. And I said, what did you do? He said, like, oh, I kind of hung onto the barrier, and I got on the other side of it when that was going on. I said, okay. So then another tractor trailer pulled up parallel to the first one in the empty lane and just stopped. And they basically, as a pair, just blocked off all traffic while this could get handled. The weird thing was, like, I had witnessed that, and I kept trying to tell the cops on the site at the time, like, hey, I saw this. Do you guys need a statement for anything? They're like, no, just get down there. Just get down there. Just get out of the way. Just get out of the street. Get out of the road. Okay. I'm good. And eventually I finally realized they didn't want to hear from me, which was odd, because I was right there for everything. And decided I was going to go to work because I was running late for work. And of course I get down there, and I've been running my flashers the whole time, and my battery's dead. And so the ambulance had been called out, and I was talking to the ambulance guys, and they knew who I was, and they knew I was late. And they offered me a ride in the ambulance to the station because my car wouldn't start. And so, because they got called out to the scene and nobody needed treatment. So I got an ambulance ride to work that morning, and nobody ever contacted me. I gave my contact information to people. Nobody ever contacted me about that wreck that morning. It was really, really odd. But later that afternoon, I went out, and my dad came out with me, we jump started the car, and everything was okay. But yeah, so I can tell you, just be careful on the interstate. But he did the right thing in pulling off. If if you can't go anywhere else, that's where you have to go. Let's see. Bet there's a phone event. No, you're not back yet in the country. Well, still, that makes me even happier that you're deciding on vacation to join us on the program. That's good. Good morning. And we're not forgetting about your poker ride, which is coming up on July 25th. You are not 1A, Johnny. You're going to have to fight Mark Drury over that one. But Johnny says, happy to announce better than a Rock laundromat is open. They'll open Saturday morning at 8:30. Okay, I wondered about when it was going to be open. And the reason I say that is because I saw your video yesterday. Johnny did a walkthrough video of the Better Than a Rock laundromat, and really nice, look fantastic. And of course, I mentioned before, Mrs. Rifen is champing at the bit for this thing to open up so she can take our giant living room ruggable down there, because it just doesn't work in our regular what the heck's it called, washing machine. Thank you. So she's been dying for that place to open so she can get our rug in there and get it washed. So she'll be excited to know Saturday at 7. Now we'll be out of town, but when we come back, we'll know that it'll be there. And again, a reminder for everybody, I will not be here Monday or Tuesday. There will be no stream Monday or Tuesday. I'll be out of town, but I'll be right back in the thick of this thing on Wednesday. So think about that. Oof. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, that's bad. That is bad. Move over for service trucks on the interstate for sure. Looking for Kenny in 71. So you're happy that we got happy we got James. Now you're looking for Kenny in 71 to join us. Yeah, I don't know where 71 is. I kind of felt like he would be here by now. He is a good man. All right. Did he work at Rockin' Easy? No, I never worked at Rockin' Easy. I never ever worked at Rockin' Easy. Rockin' Easy was kind of the generation before me, if that makes sense. It was when I was a kid, I idolized Rockin' Easy. There was a lot to love about Rockin' Easy. For those of you who have joined us from Savannah, Rockin' Easy was this great independent store owned by Mr. Gardner. And they, when records were the thing, and I'm one thing I really miss about, and I guess records are kind of a thing now, but not like they were. I loved record covers because they were such huge canvases for art. And Rockin' Easy, one of the cool things they had was they had the $1 million wall. So you walked into the store, and on the left-hand wall, there were all these holders, and they all had little numbers and the Rockin' Easy logo on them. And every week they would rearrange the wall so that it had the top 200 albums, and they give you a copy of the Billboard charts, which I loved. And so I remember saving. This is 1977. I remember saving to buy. My brother had bought the originals, which is a little pack of the first 3 Kiss albums, and we were Kiss crazy in the household. I know that's probably shocking. And my brother had bought Destroyer, and he'd bought Rock and Roll Over, and I decided I wanted my copies. He'd made me little 8-track copies, so I had those, but I wanted the records. And so I started saving so that I could buy the records. And my thing was, I'm going to buy them in order. I'll buy the first one, and I'll buy Kiss, and then I'll buy Hotter Than Hell, and I'll buy Dressed to Kill, and I'll buy Alive, and I'll go through that way, and I'll just save and save and save. And I got there, and as I got there, they had their little sign in the front window that said Kiss Love Gun new. And I went, whoa, what? And we went in there, and sure enough, there was a new Kiss album. This would have been June of 77. And so I'd saved all this money to buy the first Kiss album, and yet there was a brand new Kiss album. And my brother talked me into that. He's like, get this. We don't have this. That way together we'll have everything. And I said, okay, yes, together we'll have everything. And so the first Kiss album I bought with my money was Love Gun at Rockin' Easy that day. There was also something just kind of cool about the fact that the pricing wasn't done with price tags. The pricing was done with magic markers, and they would just write on the wrapper for the vinyl. There's just something, I just thought that was cool. I don't know why. 30 years experience. Let's see. Were you the need working at the mall guy, like the guy in the movie Fast Times? I'm not sure what all that means, but I'll just say this. I loved working in the mall. I loved, there was a culture of working in the mall. There were people, and there was gossip chains, and, just all of that stuff. It was crazy. Let's see. Wife worked at FYE when we met. Been married 21 years on the 23rd. Well, congratulations. Happy anniversary on the 23rd. Yes, no doubt. Got hit by an elderly man driving in reverse on 95. Okay, that's a story. That is a story. Bring back Trader Jack. I'll tell you, somebody else said that the other day. I will tell you why we got rid of those shows. Because nobody wanted to sponsor them. And it was the same 5 people with the same 5 things every day. Your memory of Trader Jack and Swap Shop, which is what I hosted, is a lot more pleasant than the reality. I'll just say that. It was the same 5 people and the same 5 things every day. And every so often you get a new one, and that was about it. But yeah, it's in an era where you have Facebook Marketplace and eBay and, for a while there, Craigslist, and there's no place for that kind of thing on a swap shop or on the radio anymore. It's just not there. What do they want me to do on 103? Not what I did on 1440. They didn't really give me, that's the other thing. I didn't really get any guidance. I just kind of got, don't do that. Because I went over there and was like, okay, I'll take all the things I did that got me successful in this, and I'll do it over there. And they're like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. No, don't do that. When I do it, they say, don't do that. Okay. What about that? Glad to have you. Always glad to have you here, sir. Jeannie, did you send me a note earlier? Hang on a second. Jeannie did send me a note. Okay. So there is going to be an Action for Jackson event this Saturday. Oh, wow. At Tubby's. It's going to be 9:30 this Saturday at Tubby's in the back room, 2909 River Drive in Thunderbolt. And I was looking the other day, and we talked about that, the polling data that shows it's either really tight with Jackson barely ahead or Keisha Lance Bottoms ahead. They're 2 kind of different ones, but both, it's tight, and it's tighter than it probably should have been. I don't know which story that is at that point. In a dream last night, you got a number. Oh, come tomorrow. I'll give you a number tomorrow. I knew you'd get upset about that. See, there you go. Jeannie, will you please let your folks know about the Rick Jackson for Governor organizational meeting this Saturday at 9:30, Saturday at Tubby's and Thunderbolt, on how they can get involved to help as volunteers. You texted me the flyer. You did. I will upload it so that we'll have it in the future. Joanne, good to see you. Joanne, I saw Curtis. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. Yesterday, I went to Sam's and I saw your son-in-law, Curtis, and I told him you won prizes at trivia, and he said, oh, he knew. He knew. Glossing the cover for me Monday and Tuesday. Hey, you never know. I really like how you respond to a post when it pops up so we all see what you're responding to. Yeah, well, it's one of the cool things about this. You remember Hi-Fi? World Hi-Fi. Yeah, Mr. Mims. I'll tell you, okay, some things I probably should not tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. 1982. 1982. My gifted class put together a time capsule. And we got a bunch of different things from across the spectrum, a bunch of stuff in the era. And one of the things we got, Mr. Mims gave us a 45 from World Hi-Fi, which was Lafayette before it was World Hi-Fi. So yeah, I do remember it. Mr. Mims, Vernon Mims, gave us a 45. He gave us a 45 of Olivia Newton-John's Physical. I remember it very well. We loaded this thing down. We recorded tapes of what we wanted to do when we were growing up, and just all this stuff, and drawings, and just newspapers of the era and everything. We put it in a big trash can, sealed it up in a garbage bag, sealed it up with duct tape, because nothing destroys duct tape, and buried it in our gifted teacher's backyard. The plan was we're going to open this thing in 2012. And the next year, our gifted teacher died, making it very difficult for us to then access his yard in 30 years to dig up the time capsule. I'm telling you this, and I should probably not be saying all of this right now, but over the last 10 or 12 years, I've spent some time, just light time, because I haven't had a lot of busy time to just focus on this. And the funny thing is, that was one of the things I thought when the blade came down, was I thought, well, I might have some time to actually pursue this thing again. And I haven't had time to do much of anything because I'm trying to get, other things rolling. And, one of the other things I'm trying to do is get Substack going too. But I think I've found the home. I actually spoke to his widow briefly some years ago when she was working at JCPenney. JCPenney's not even open now, so that tells you how long I've kind of been investing little pieces of this. But I'm pretty sure I found the home. At one point, I talked to a landscaper about, as a publicity thing, kind of redoing the guy's yard once we dig up the time capsule, because you can't just randomly go up to somebody and go, let us hack up your backyard so we can dig up this time capsule. I've also been in touch with some of the people there. In fact, Monique Kate was in our gifted class, and she's actually in the newspaper article that they did about this at the time, because the newspaper did not know that they were not supposed to print my name back then. So they did. And it was interesting because the newspaper article is a bunch of us giving a copy of the map to the time capsule in his backyard. We're giving it to Buck Crosby at Jane Macon so that he can put it into the vault at Jane Macon. Jane Macon has, of course, since moved. They don't have a map in their vault. They have told me they do not have the map that we handed to Buck Crosby that day. I don't know why you would just assume that you're just not going to do anything with it, because that's kind of crazy to me, but they did. So, I ran into Monique Kate not too long ago. She was in the class, and I kind of chastised her. So I sent you a note and you never responded to the thing. And I realized it wasn't Monique that I sent the note to. It was Mickey Mims, whose dad gave us the 45. And I'd sent her a note going, hey, I'm kind of trying to put this thing together. Or would you be interested in being involved in this? And she never responded. And for some reason, I just only thought we had one girl, but we didn't. We had Monique and we had Mickey. And so like Monique was all on board. Monique was like, yes, let's do this. And so, and I said, well, I'll be in touch. And she listened to the program and everything. That was kind of cool. That's a thing that at some point I'm going to try to get back off the ground. Hopefully, while all of us are still alive. But it was me, it was John Zell, it was Sydney Carter, it was Monique, it was Mickey, it was just a whole bunch of us in that class, our gifted class. It wasn't a ton of people, it was maybe 7 or 8, but we buried that time capsule. We were supposed to dig it up in 2012. We didn't, because the teacher died the next year, and it just kind of fell off the radar. But my plan someday is to kind of document it, just kind of video everything leading up to finding it, locating it, opening it up, having fun with it. And, we'll see what shape it's in there, but it's literally in a guy's backyard. I'm 99% sure I know where the house is and which house it is. She had given me the address. Like I said, I spoke to our teacher's widow, and she had given me the address, but the numbering had changed in the neighborhood, which just like it did in Country Club Park years ago. And so the numbers didn't quite match up, but she kind of told me where it was. And I from there, I think I've located it. The great thing is going to be if we go to this guy's house and we're like, hey, can we hack up your backyard and we'll fix it up and we'll make a big event out of it. And then it turns out it's not right. That'd be great. But anyway, yeah, at some point I would like to do that. That's a thing. So yeah, I said no feed Monday and Tuesday. Will there be trivia? Yes, I will be back in time for trivia. We are coming back that day during the day, and so that's why I will not be able to do the stream. But yes, there will be trivia next Tuesday night. Absolutely, at Max on. I say on New Jessup Highway. I really, really, really want to say 341, but I don't say 341. I say Max on New Jessup Highway, and the reason I do is because that's the way it shows up on maps. And so, yeah, I want to make sure it's consistent, because if people go punch it in maps and it's like, what? That's not right. He said, because it does take you to the other one sometimes. There's 2 Macs, obviously. Hearing the old shows, I feel old. Asia, he was 1982. That's not what we got in there. That's not what we got. We got physical. And lady wants to get into that. She always wants to get in the room, Chuck. She always wants to be wherever we are. That's where she wants to be. So anyway, that all of that was that one story we've covered. So let's take a look at this one. This one I thought was interesting because I have a question about this one. Jon Ossoff has a fundraising edge against Collins in the fight for the United States Senate. And the question that I have about this is how much of that money is from our state? One thing I have learned, and I've talked about this over the years, and a lot of people are of the big belief that Georgia has become a purple state. Georgia, woo, and because we've elected some Democrats, Georgia's a purple state, and I don't think Georgia's a purple state so much as there is so much money, so much effort, so much attention poured into it. What I feel like Georgia is I feel like the Democrat Party is the psycho ex-girlfriend of Georgia. And you have that psycho ex-girlfriend that just can't let it go. And just constantly doing what they can to win you back. And that's so, I wonder about the fundraising edge that Collins has, or that Ossoff has over Collins. And I wonder if it's not coming from largely out of state. My money would go, if I were a betting man, my money would go on the money's coming from out of state. And just because I remember when Strahan was running for governor and she was having these $5,000 a plate dinners in San Francisco to help with the election in Georgia. And the funny thing is, like, Democrats got mad at me when I said this, but they were very much after 2016, very concerned about foreign interference in our elections. Remember that? Oh, we've got to do something about the foreign interference in our elections. And I pointed out that this is foreign interference in Georgia's elections. And, that's not the same thing. But it is, because we're supposed to be sovereign states. And Georgians are supposed to participate in Georgian elections, and Georgians are supposed to care about Georgian elections. And yet, they were having these giant fundraisers in San Francisco, which, again, I think is foreign interference in our elections. So I'm just curious to know how much of that money is actually from inside Georgia. The calls are coming from inside the house. Tonight, let me go ahead and warn you now. I may be a little sluggish tomorrow because I'm going to see the Odyssey tonight at 6:00 at the GTX. And I will say this for Georgia Theater Company, because it used to be because a lot of you grew up in this area, we used to go, we don't have anything good. We don't have anything good, and we can't do anything good, and we can't have anything good. And that has really changed. That GTX is about as good as anything that you will go see a film on, except the legit, genuine IMAX. In fact, most IMAXs you go see are what we actually call, we nerds call Limax, because it's not really IMAX. It's just branded IMAX, and it's got, speakers and that kind of thing, but it's not the right size, and it's not the right aspect ratio and all that. The only thing that I would say beats that is the IMAX in Pooler. If you go to Royal Cinemas in Pooler, which G-Man likes to do a lot, that beats GTX. But for the most part, you're not going to get a better experience. The seating is great. The sound is great. The picture is huge. So we're going to go see the Odyssey tonight. I'm also a sucker for Christopher Nolan stuff. I've been a sucker for Christopher Nolan stuff since the early 2000s, since Memento came out. And I remember there was, I think it was comingattractions.net or something, early website, and they would show, it was just nothing, movie news and trailers, and you'd go look at all the trailers. You download the trailers on your, I think I was beyond the 14.4 modem. I might even been up to the 36K modem, but, or 63K modem. But I remember seeing the trailer for Memento and going, wow, that's really neat. And then I was catching up with an old college buddy of mine who was still in Tallahassee at that point. And he was still in Tallahassee, but now he lives in Jacksonville, strangely enough. And he was in media, and he also got laid off, but not same thing. By the way, I got to get into the layoff thing in a second. But anyway, I was talking to him and he said, man, I can get you a really good copy of Memento. Because I was telling him I really liked that Memento trailer. And he said, I can get you a really good copy of Memento. He's like, can you play a VCD? And I'm like, yeah, I can play a VCD. So he sent me, and I don't know where he got it, but and Memento wasn't here. Wasn't in theaters here. Best I could do was maybe go to Jacksonville. And he sent me that VCD of that film, and I just was entranced. That guy was on such another level as a storyteller that I couldn't. It was amazing to me. So at that point, and then a few years later, then he makes what was the Robin Williams movie that he did that happens in the why am I blanking? Insomnia. He did Insomnia with Robin Williams and Al Pacino. It was okay. Then he did the Dark Knight, not Dark Knight, but Batman Begins, which was pretty good. He did The Prestige, which was really good, and then he did Dark Knight, which was just like, holy cow, this guy's ridiculously great. And so from there, I'm a mark for Christopher Nolan. And then I see the tomato meter, the reviews are 96% positive, despite all of the whiny people on the internet saying that it was going to be a horrible, terrible movie. It doesn't look like it's going to be horrible and terrible. So I'm going to go see this. It's almost 3 hours long, though. The presentation will be over 3 hours long when we get there. So yeah, let me go to this because I have to. And actually Miranda being there reminded me because she got wrapped up in a lot of the stuff. Good to see you, ma'am. I had somebody come to me yesterday that they were speaking to someone in law enforcement and were mentioning they were trying to promote this channel so we could get our 1,000, and we're past our 1,000 now, which is fantastic. But they were trying to get subscribers to the channel, which I appreciate. And then they told me that the person in law enforcement said, yeah, he got let go, he got fired from his job because of Podcast Boy. And I know Podcast Boy has tried to take credit for it because I've seen private messages that he sent to people trying to take credit for it. But I will say again, I started counting last night. I thought it was around 30 markets where they broomed a bunch of people. So I actually have some documentation because of some of my severance paperwork. And then but that's just for the region that I'm in. And so then I started kind of looking at other places that were reporting firing. And there are at least 94 different cities where people they just broomed the local people. At least 94 was the count I came up with last night. So if somebody went out of their way to get me fired because of something I said that was not illegal or offensive, and they were able to do it, but that did it under cover of actually getting 94 cities worth of people fired, that's a pretty powerful person. I'm going to say none of that actually happened. And you just have to remember there are people who just lie. And not much you can do about that, sadly. Let's see. You're right. The vast majority you're talking about the Ossoff money. I would be willing to bet that his fundraising advantage over Mike Collins is largely from out of state. And you just have to think about that. Act Blue website, one of his primary sources. I'm certain of that. And Jeannie agrees. So good. There's 3 of us all in one place and we all agree. So there. That's all you need to know, right? All right, so let's take a look at this one. City approves HUD grant and budget action plan. I just don't know what's going on. I don't know why the city is getting involved in the housing business, for one thing. I don't know that that's a thing that is going to be beneficial to people. And I go back and I look at, people in public housing when I've talked about this a number of times over the years where, I had a friend who was invited to the celebration of a woman who'd been in the projects for 50 years, and they were celebrating her 50th anniversary in the projects. And, this friend said to me, that's not something worth celebrating. Why would you celebrate keeping somebody in poverty for 50 years? I'll also point this out, if I could. There's this notion from the left that, and I talked about this the other day, that the rich are always rich and the poor are always poor and the middle class are all becoming poor. None of those things are true. If you look at the quintiles of our economy, every 7 or 8 years, you move out of the quintile that you're in. Most of the people who are in the bottom 20% will move out of that. Most of them are young people getting started in their lives. The older people who are at the top of their earning height will eventually retire, and that earning will fall off, and they'll move out of the top 20%, top 20 quintile, I should say. And the people in the middle class, we keep hearing the middle class is shrinking. And the implication is the middle class is shrinking because all the middle class people are going down to the bottom quintile. But it's not true. The middle class is shrinking because people are moving up. Many more people are moving up than are moving down. But you don't hear that because it doesn't score political points with people. This notion that we're going to keep people in poverty for 50 years, understand the reason they're having to celebrate is because it's rare. The fact that this woman had been in public housing for 50 straight years was not common. It's not normal, and it shouldn't be celebrated. But anyway, I don't get the city's attempt to build housing. I just think that's a thing that should be left to the private sector and keep it in the private sector. We were talking about this the other day because there was a body that washed up in Savannah near the convention center, and 25 suggested that perhaps it had to do with the boat that had overturned and whether or not the boater was the missing boater was the person who was washed up there. And apparently not, because they found his body at 2 p.m. yesterday. It was Dominic Dasher, recovered by game wardens and Coast Guard personnel, turned over to the coroner, Mark McKinnon with the Georgia DNR. The missing person from Saturday's overturned boat's been identified, Dominic Lamont Dasher, 45, of Port Royal, South Carolina. So that still leaves the question of who it was that washed up by the convention center. That's just that is a strange thing. This is I want to talk about. It's funny. I saw some discussion of the fairness doctrine on Facebook this morning, and shock of shocks, it was. There are people who believe the fairness doctrine means that in the news you have to report the news down the middle, and that was the fairness doctrine. And Reagan got rid of it so Rush Limbaugh could run rampant over the airwaves, and none of that's the case. The fairness doctrine was that editorially you had to cover controversial issues in your community, and you had to represent two sides of the issue. And it didn't have anything to do with news programs. But do you remember like you'd have you'd be watching The Young and the Restless, and there'd be a commercial break, and then all of a sudden they'd go, and now for an editorial from WJXT's Bill Grove. You remember that? And then he'd do some 2-minute thing where he was giving an editorial about something. Then they'd go back to The Young and the Restless. That was the fairness doctrine. It wasn't, by golly, we've got to report the news a certain way. In fact, to suggest that the news used to be unbiased and then suddenly the fairness doctrine went away and suddenly became biased is ridiculous. I mean, again, go back to the Vietnam War. Go back to Mr. Unbiased Walter Cronkite and see what kind of real bias there was in the news. It's just not a thing. So anyway, this story is a headline. Oh, SSU student detained by ICE reportedly released. And, they were trying to make a big deal out of this a few days ago, where this kid who played baseball for Savannah State was here illegally, and he was detained because he was here illegally. Gosh, but then the headline makes it sound like, oh, well, they screwed up and now he's free. But that's not what the story says. And again, sadly, remember, most people are headline readers. Then you have a significantly smaller number of people who read the first paragraph. Way smaller number of people read paragraph 2. By paragraph 3, you're dealing with very, very few people. So when you read this, most people see the headline, they go, aha, see, I screwed up again. But you actually read beyond the headline, you get a Savannah State University student athlete who was detained by ICE in New York earlier this month appeared for a bond hearing via Zoom on Wednesday morning, said his attorney. So he was released on bond. The implication of the story is that, ICE just messed up by putting this kid behind. That was the implication of the original story. They kind of buried the fact that he was here illegally. And so now, he has a bond hearing. Well, yes, of course. When he has a bond hearing, they're going to give him bond. Go figure. So anyway, let's see. Families are always rising and falling in America. Yeah, it's a thing. It's absolutely a thing. Well, no, this is the Savannah. This is Savannah. The jumper that they found the other day before yesterday from the bridge, the Sydney Lanier Bridge. That's a whole different thing. I'm talking Savannah here. But I will say this also, again, I want to say thank you to the family of Ashton who died from jumping from the Sydney Lanier Bridge, because they shared their grief with the community and they allowed the community to support them in their grief. And again, I know there's not a textbook for this. There's not a manual for how this can and should be done, but I appreciate the fact that they did it all out in the open. And we as a community were able to kind of be there for them and share in their grief. Absolutely. Bring back. It's really not. It's not. Here's the thing. This is one of those things where you can't convince somebody of something that you've lived and experienced. It doesn't get good ratings. It doesn't get good revenue. There is no reason for it. What I would say is, if you really want it, you can start up a Facebook feed every day or a YouTube feed every day and do swap shop. Sell crabs and peanuts on top. People certainly did. And pies and everything else. They certainly did do that. But again, it's kind of why it just doesn't really work. But anyway, as we continue, let's drop another few of these here. Interested in taking a train from Savannah to Atlanta? Tell GDOT your preferences. Now, this one is about that high-speed rail that they're talking about. And I wasn't able to get it in the screen grab here, but I thought this was strange. Savannah State University. Oh, that's not the right one. I'm still on the old story. There we go. Have you ever wanted to ditch the traffic and travel from Savannah to Atlanta by train? As of now, the trip requires several transfers up and around the East Coast, taking up to 24 hours. Now, and let me just stop there, because I think that's largely true. But please remember who runs those trains. It's all government run. Amtrak, no offense to the Amtrak people, but it is a ridiculously inefficient method of travel. Because they're not wrong. It would take you about 24 hours to do it by Amtrak. And it shouldn't. But you go further into this article, and again, I don't have it there. We'll go into this. This is a part that kind of got me on this. Georgia Department of Transportation wants to hear the public's opinions on their travel preferences for the potential passenger railway that connects the hostess city and the Big Peach. The project's been in development since April 2022, with the current draft scheduled continuing into 2028. The survey asks how often residents travel between Atlanta and Savannah, how they travel, and why. Survey takers, here's the part that just makes me go, ah. Survey takers then select how much they would be willing to pay between Atlanta and Savannah one way in differing time amounts ranging between 2.5 and 5 hours. The choices begin at $100, but there's an option to say you would not pay over $100 for the service. Now, let me just say this. Unless you're trying to create the Brunswick Breeze of high-speed rail, there's no reason to create a rail service to Atlanta from Savannah that takes 5 hours. Nobody, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. And if somebody said, again, it's kind of the survey thing, it's kind of the swap shop thing. If they say they want it, they don't really want it. Nobody actually wants a 5-hour train ride to Atlanta. I'm sorry. Because from Savannah, you can get there in 4 in a car. And you're happier in a car. I would take, if it were 2.5 hours, I would take that train. Even though it would be, an hour to Savannah, maybe an hour and a half. So it really would be a 5-hour trip for me anyway. But I would still take that train if it were 2.5 hours to Atlanta. Yes, I would 100% take it. There's no reason for it to exist if it's a 5-hour trip by train to Atlanta. There's no reason for it whatsoever. This shocks everyone. Shots fired near West 58th Street, Savannah Police Invest. This was literally like 3:30 this morning. I felt bad for Alexis Derrickson, who had to cover that for WTOC because she, I guess, was pulling the night desk. I don't know. Did you read that article correctly that I sent you the other day? Jax is getting rid of vans that Jax employees were riding in just to get up the hours up last year, the semi-autonomous vans. I didn't see that, but I believe it because it's a thing. I know that that has been a questioned thing for a while. Mark Stein said it best when it comes to trains. Liberals say the way of the future is the way of the past. To bring the 21st century, we've got to go back to the 1800s. Yeah. And again, look, high-speed rail could be interesting, and they do it in Japan, and they do it successfully and well in Japan, but it also goes 200 miles an hour. You do that, that's okay. First two albums I ever bought with my money were Dress to Kill and Frampton Comes Alive. Certainly some fine selections. Yeah, mine was Love Gun. It's just another way to hoist public transportation. I was talking about the high-speed rail thing, but you know what? If they make it a good thing, all right, I'm fine with it. If you make it a good thing, but Brunswick Breeze, not a good thing. And if you make it pay for itself, make it so that it does, because you're not going to have, the thing about Brunswick Breeze is it actually, Brunswick Febreze competes with people in the marketplace and undercuts them with taxpayer funded subsidies. As far as the train goes, you really don't have the opportunity for a private train service that would do it. But I would just say, just make it break even, make money. Don't forget Lieutenant Colonel Alan West at American Legion Post 9, Highway 17 in Brunswick on Friday, July 24th, 8:30 a.m. for morning muster, meet and greet, pastries and coffee. Poker run Saturday, starting at the facility and ending at Silver Bluff. Come support vets. And I will tell you again, Jeannie invited, I don't know if it was Jeannie. No, it may not have been Jeannie who invited us, but Jeannie was there. We went to that Republican Women's Chatham Republic. Well, that would have been, yeah. It would have been Marie who invited us, really. Whose birthday was yesterday, by the way. But we got to go to the event with Alan West. And great speaker, great guy, funny guy. We had a terrific time at that event with Alan West, and he's just top-notch individual. I love Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, and I am so, you don't know how excited I am that you guys got him. We had him on the program. I forgot about that. We had him on the program leading up to that. I had him on the program at least once, if not twice, leading up to that event. And then we went to the event. Mrs. Reifin and I went to the event, and it was terrific. Absolutely terrific. Greyhound. Oh my goodness, Greyhound. Oh. Oh. Greyhound. When I was a freshman in college, I didn't have a car. My freshman and sophomore year in college, I did not have a car. So if I wanted to get, and my freshman year, I had a roommate, and I think I ticked him off on one trip back home. And I can see me doing that. I think I've kind of pinpointed what it was, but eventually he would be like, yes, I'm going home for the weekend. And we were both, from here. And he'd, yes, I'm going home for the weekend. I go, can you use company? And he'd go, no. Would you like some company on the trip? No. Oh, okay. So he stopped taking me home after a while. And as a freshman in college, I'll just go and tell you, I was miserable, and I was desperate to get home for visits. And, so my choice became Greyhound, and that was it. And there were some miserable rides, man. Those were some miserable trips. And you brought a book, and you put your head down, and you hoped nothing actually broke out, that the yelling and screaming at each other just was yelling and screaming, and nothing actually happened. I will avoid Greyhound. Although I owe that one guy from Greyhound, I do owe him. There was one weekend I was just desperate. I was sad. I was terrible. I had to get home. I had to be home. And I called up Greyhound, the office. The office was on Tennessee Street at the time. That's not Greyhound anymore, but it was. And called him up. How much would it cost? And everything was the same price. It was like $63 or whatever it was. And I managed to put together exactly enough money to get home. And so I'm walking down the street and I literally had to walk from my dorm down Tennessee Street. And of course, homeless people everywhere just hitting you up for money, because that was Tennessee Street at the time. I don't know if it's still Tennessee Street, but it certainly was then. And this woman comes up to me and she says, man, I remember she had a black tube top on, It's like, man, I haven't eaten in days. I hadn't had nothing to eat. I need some food, man. I hadn't eaten in days. You got some money, I can have some food because I hadn't eaten in days. And of course, I am literally there, and I got exactly enough money to get home. So I said, no, I don't have anything. She said, come on, man, I haven't eaten. Like, I need food. I haven't eaten in days. And I said, okay, you know what? Because I felt bad for her because she hadn't eaten in days. So she said. And I thought about it. I said, Checkers was right down Tennessee Street, just down the road, a couple blocks down from where we were. And Checkers at the time, this was 1989, had a deal where you could get burger, fries, and a Coke for $1.99. So I pulled out my wallet and I pulled $2 out of it. And I said, here, I really don't have this to spare, but I'm going to give you this, and you can get burger, fries, and a drink. You get a full meal down at Checkers. And she looked at that thing. She took the $2. She looked at it, and she looked back at me, and she goes, you ain't got a 5. And I didn't have a 5. And I was like, no, I don't. That's it. And I walked off. And of course, she's yelling at me as I walk off. And I get to the counter. And of course, I now don't have enough money to get home. And the guy at the counter at Greyhound said, you know what? You look desperate. He literally said, you look desperate. And I said, yeah, kind of. And he marked down, he discounted the ticket so that I could get on that bus and get home. True story. The goal of transportation in this country never seems to be to make it good. It's to separate you from your car. Yes, it is absolutely to restrict how you move and to tell you how you're going to move and the way in which you can move. What percentage of people flying to Atlanta from Savannah have Atlanta as their final destination? Not a lot. No, I would agree with that. And that would be one of your arguments, I guess, against the train line. Morning, Tia. Hi, how are you? Let's see. I don't know what it's like now, but I did use them a couple of times in 70. It really wasn't that bad. One trip all the way to Texas. Yeah, I took it a lot of times in 89, 90, 91. And I will tell you, there were times when it wasn't the worst experience ever, but I can never tell you there was a time when it was a good experience. Remember what they tell you about the oxygen mask on a plane? Take care of yourself first before helping someone else. That's true. You wind up letting other people pull you down, then you both drown, and that's not a good thing. Greyhound was good. Went to New York City from here in Brunswick. Very long. I bet that was a very, very long ride. Can't imagine. But yeah, I did Tallahassee to Brunswick and Brunswick to Tallahassee quite a few times in the 89 to 91 window until I finally got my own car. And I mean, there was literally one where we were riding through Jacksonville and there were people, it was, 1, 2 in the morning, and there were people screaming at each other about who was packing and telling each other to shut up because they were packing. And it's just like, guys, we don't need a gunfight in the middle of the Greyhound, I swear. Great article. I'm not going to get into it in depth. Great article. Every day is a full moon at the Smithsonian's American History Museum. And here's what you need to know. And I'm not going to give you the whole article. I just say go find it. It's in National Review. But the headline to me is hilarious. The Handmaid's Tale's costume is one of her favorite things in the Smithsonian collection, says Director of Museum of American History. Is she out of her mind? And the thing is, you can go buy them on Amazon if you want, because they're still there. The weird thing is, what is it? It's July 2026. So we've had the second Trump administration going on for a year and a half now, and we still have not forced women to wear those handmaids costumes. I'm trying to figure out why that's the case, because we were told that when he was reelected, that was going to happen. But for some reason, it just has not. I don't get it, because I was told that we were going to have them in those. And I got my wife that uniform, so she's ready to go. This is another one I'm not going to get in depth into because we're kind of running a little behind here. But there's a new study out there that tries to make it look like Americans are poorer than Europeans. And, it's just a study came out a couple of months ago that illustrated how poor Europeans really are next to Americans. This article, again, at National Review, is a great illustration of how the numbers were kind of played with and what the reality is on those numbers. Again, worth checking out. I think I have a lot of National Review. Dua Lipa, yes. Now, I do want to talk about this because she has opened a banned books library. I think it's in Portugal. Okay. She has opened a banned books library in Portugal. And then you look at what the banned books are. So let's shrink this a little bit so that I can be seen. And I think I'm doing this right. Tell me if I'm screwing this up, because you told me I was screwing it up yesterday. So yeah, so listen to the books that are on the list for Dua Lipa's banned books library. Animal Farm by George Orwell, which we were taught in school, which is kind of weird for a banned book. Beloved by Toni Morrison. Now, I have not read Beloved. I did read Sula in school, but not Beloved. Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, which I read in Mrs. Rex's class in 11th grade. 1984 by George Orwell, which was another one that was available to you in school. The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I didn't read that. I don't think it existed when we were in school, but I know that we have copies of it in this house. And why do we have copies of it in the house? Because Mrs. Rifen has taught the book in school. These are really weird banned books. The Hunger Games by Susan Collins. They're not only Suzanne Collins, sorry. They're not only not banning that, they're making movies that kids are going to see about it. The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. Again, that was a thing that people read in school, literally in school. Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, which I had to read in college, and it was a miserable experience because it's a, spoiler alert, it's a stupid book. It's just dumb. And I say that having read it. The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka, which is gross. The Second Sex by Simone de Beauvoir. The Vegetarian by Han Kang. The Crucible, which we read in school. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, which we read in school. Zora Neale Hurston, Their Eyes Were Watching God, which I read in college. Again, are there really banned books anymore in most areas of the world? And this is coming from a guy who clearly loves books. No, not the case. Just saying. All right, what have we got so far? Go to the comments really quickly. We took the train from Jessup to New York. Won't ever ride again. It was terrible. Interesting. You know, it was funny. I actually tried to route a trip. We would go to Indianapolis pretty frequently because of my Mrs. Rifen's family. And I thought one year it would be neat to take the train. And routing a train to Indianapolis was miserable. It was awful because at the time you had to actually come up, you know, like the airlines, you say, I want to start in this city and go to this city, and then they'll route it for you and say, here's what you need to do. And back then, you know, this is 20 something years ago, the website for Amtrak wouldn't do that. I think they will now, but you literally had to do it yourself and you had to take your best guess. It was, not fun. They put the Greyhound. Yeah, they do not put the Greyhound stations in the best parts of town anywhere you go. That is a fact. Took a 3.5 day trip to Oceanside, California, Greyhound in the mid 90s. I'll bet it was. Took a megabus from Jacksonville to Atlanta once. Not bad at all. Stopped once. Cheap. Is it the Museum of History or Fiction? Right. They'll wear the shirt when the Muslim, they'll wear the, it won't be the handmaid's outfit, but it'll be something close, won't it? Brunswick is an entitlement city. It's getting that way. If they were packing, they wouldn't have been yelling. None of them had guns. I hope that's the case. Are you posting links to these articles? I'm not yet. I'm not right now. But I'm telling you, the last several have all been at National Review, and you should go to it. I know National Review is very independent, conservative. And so there are some who do not like them because they are independent. They have a fierce independent streak. And they did coin the term never Trump. But they're, to me, they're still the best pure conservative outlet there is out there. But no, I'm not posting links to the articles. I'm just posting the screen grabs. At some point, we'll go back to the links on rifen.com. Might even do them at 1440wgig.com since I own that. Didn't know until I saw the news. Sounds like city leadership's proud. Yeah, they are very well. We had Regina on a couple months ago, and she was telling us all about it. And I was just my jaw kind of dropped. Let's see. Hey, by Blackwood. Oh, stop it. How many are available in Terry? I don't know. The only real experience I've had with the Amtrak was taking the auto train for a Walt Disney World trip. Thought it was a great experience. Well, that was now. Did you go from? Did you go from Jersey down there, or did you go from Jacksonville down there? Now I'm kind of curious. Scott, have you touched on the story of the North Georgia family having the home seized by Georgia Power? No, I haven't touched. Well, I mean, well, first off, it's not seized by Georgia Power. It was, there's an eminent domain issue. But no, I haven't touched on it today because we did it like a month ago, 2 months ago. So no, we did it then. So it's making headlines again for, I guess, reasons of the activists. I think because so many other of the horror stories of data centers have been debunked thoroughly, that this is one that hasn't been. So they're like, okay, well, let's do this one again. I should say recent experiences taking it Pittsburgh to Philadelphia during the 90s is a bit outdated. Okay. So Virginia to Florida. Okay. So you drove from New Jersey to DC and then took Amtrak down to Orlando. That's interesting, I'll say, at the very least. Interesting. All right. What else do we have for today? I think I've got one more. Oh, yes. This. And this, I'm going to close with this for today. And we'll get our licks in and we'll go home and we'll have fun after this. Let me really quickly turn off the Jacksonville bureau chief. Let's see. Hang on. Sounds like Georgia Power approached with an offer, most likely very reasonable, better, fair market, likely to avoid delays of eminent domain. Oh, the family did accept? Okay. No, I hadn't seen that part of it. Okay. No, thank you for that. That is an update I did not see. Okay. And that's, again, so what you're saying is, let's go back to this for a second. So what you're saying is they've blown up another of the narratives from the data center scaremongers. That's what you're telling me. That another one of those has been blown up. All right, good to know. Very good to know. All right, let's edit this down and put it in the little box. I think I can put it in the little box. Let's see. Not let me. Oh, that's why, because I'm already prepared to move it. There we go. So I think this is a thing that should concern everybody. And this is not going to shock a lot of people. Sadly, it's just kind of par for the course. And this is from WGME 13, CBS affiliate. Charlotte Hazard from the National News Desk. Study shows that both Apple News and Google News suppressed negative news stories about former Maine Democratic Senate candidate Graham Plattner for months. According to a study done by the Media Research Center that was obtained by Fox News Digital, Apple News and Google News didn't publish any negative stories about Plattner from November 2025 and May of this year. Now, and remember, there were story after story. And like almost every day we were getting new stories about Plattner. But Apple News and Google News were suppressing those stories. And I know a lot of you are sitting there going, duh, we figured that would happen. That's not even, we talk about news being something unusual and different that happens. But, it's funny because I was mentioning earlier that there was a discussion I watched online about the fairness doctrine that was completely, again, did not understand the fairness doctrine. And the kind of thing they were bemoaning was uneven coverage of news. I mean, here we are. I guess it's over here now. On my screen, it's not. It's right here. But on your screen, I guess it's over here. Yeah, there. Anyway. But this is why you need other news outlets. This is why you need other news sources. Because you're going to get dishonest reporting no matter what. The funny thing about it is, I'm one of these guys. I've kind of been resigned to the fact that just dishonest reporting exists, period, and always has and always will. But when you go back and read some of these things about the Revolutionary era and the founding fathers and that kind of thing, you'll find out that a lot of people would just go start newspapers to grind axes. You'll find that people back in those days, a guy with money who had a complaint would just go start a newspaper. And then some of those newspapers would last 100 years. But it all started with some guy, having an axe to grind. And he would spend his time in the paper just grinding that axe. So, the news has always been biased. The news has always been that way. And You just have to know that and understand it and acknowledge it and accept it. Really quick. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, the story. Okay. Yeah. Because that's the way I was looking at it. That's the way I was seeing it, was they were again doing the Georgia Power kicked these people out of their houses. And so no, it turns out that they actually offered them good money, and the family said, yes, we'll take it. So it never even got to the eminent domain phase, which is the way it's being portrayed, as they eminent domain them out of their house. Could Brunswick start a commuter rail service using $400 hand cards? Just everybody, pumping together, and why not? It would be a breeze to do that, right? All right. That, I think, is going to do it, because we've been on a while and I need to get rolling. I've got some meetings today. Again, more things about moving things forward, and we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, have a great day. Stay cool. Stay hydrated. Don't forget, no program Monday and Tuesday. Yes, there will be trivia Tuesday night, because I'll be traveling during the day Tuesday in an effort to get there in time for Tuesday night trivia. So you don't have to sweat whether or not we're going to have trivia. We definitely will have trivia. We just will not have a stream Monday or Tuesday. Everybody, thank you for getting us over 1,000, and we're still growing, and that's great too. I encourage that. Like the videos when they're on, because if you like the videos when they're on, that helps get them found. We unlocked that $1,000 or that $1,000. I wish that 1,000 subscriber plateau, which is going to help us get more recognition, going to help us get seen, noticed more, and just keep doing what you're doing, because you guys have been great for spreading the word for this thing. I could not have asked for a better street team than we have had for this thing, honestly. So you guys have a great day. We will see you tomorrow, and don't forget, eventually we will have commercials. just so you know. But we'll see you tomorrow. Have fun.